Hello there everyone and welcome to another video with Hypnotherapy Training International, and today we have Dr. John Butler with us, and I would like Dr. Butler to cover with us a little bit about clinical hypnotherapy and using it in a sense to learning about things which might have happened in our childhood. They can be very dramatic, they can be not so dramatic, they can be life scarring or not so, but over the years, I just see that the more we process as adults what we've been through as in our childhood and learning to mitigate the needs we had or didn't have met, and how it really helps us lead a better, happier, nicer life in so many different levels. So, Dr. Butler, it's just a brief interviews, 4 or 5 minutes, if that's all right. Just tell us a little bit about your up and coming course of clinical hypnotherapy. You've been studying this for well over 4 decades, teaching it for 3 decades, worked with Gil Boyne in a really good place to talk about this kind of work. So tell us a little bit about how we can help us, those who come in to study, as I did some years ago, and later on when we work with others, how we can make such a big change.
Well, thank you, Idan, and welcome. It's a very big topic because there's so many aspects of the work we do in helping people deal with early childhood experiences and adverse childhood experiences. And of course, traumas and sensitizing events affect us throughout our lives when they occur, but particularly vulnerable. We're particularly vulnerable when we're young. There's an old saying, the child is father to the man. In other words, the child gives birth to the man or woman later on. And because we're so vulnerable at that early age, there's great scope for misunderstandings that go deep into the subconscious mind, as we have very little ability to filter out, let alone reject the statements and other communications from adults. At the intellectual level, a client may come to therapy and say, well, yeah, my father was very harsh, and I think that undermined my confidence. He was very critical. Now, I know he was trying to help me focus, be motivated, do better in life, in school, because I was a bit wild and so on. And he didn't want me to end up working as a laborer on the building sites like he did. And so I can see where he was coming from. Now, they can say all that logically, and that's a little help in the mind in maybe reducing some of the negative impact of the communication from the father and some of the anger towards the father and so on. But at an emotional level, that has only very limited effect. Now, the fixed ideas from the parents can haunt us all our lives because we're very vulnerable, as I said, at that early age, to the authority figures. Now, there's billions of synaptic connections acquired during those early years, which amount to very deep programming, which is why some of those claims that you can just overcome your past, click of the fingers, it's nonsense. I mean, we all, as therapists, over time, you see dramatic improvements that occur very quickly. And as Dave Ellman said, these should be followed up. These need further work. And that doesn't mean years of talking about it, because that's just another level of awareness, intellectual knowledge, emotional, deeper knowledge, and then intuitive understanding. So talking about a headache for a long time may just make your headache worse. If you're talking to the headache and as the headache and dialoguing with it, which takes your understanding further deep into much deeper realms, well, that's all part of good therapy. So we must do the therapy sufficiently deep enough so it doesn't have only superficial or short-term results. So what really good therapy does is helps us to disentangle the misunderstandings, the misprogrammings, and help us understand the parents' limitations and begin then to bring more integration, more completion, which is the gestalt, and finally, real closure. So this is a comprehensive therapeutic approach. It's not a superficial approach, as I've said, and it requires a lot of knowledge. Gil Boyne, who was very influential in my training, had a huge amount of training in psychological methods, in psychotherapy and counseling, which have all come from hypnotherapy, of course. And he brought that into his form of hypnotherapy called transforming therapy. So this is what we teach in classes, including this clinical hypnotherapy that's coming up very shortly. There's a lot of self-work that the therapist needs to do this well with clients, so that they're aware of what the client is going through. They clear a lot of their own baggage. And in a simple way of saying it is that it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And we don't say that superficially. But the goal ultimately is to throw off the shackles of the damaged and weakened inner child and transform those feelings and beliefs into those of a very healthy, powerful adult, which is what we really are in our deepest nature. So that's just an overview, and a lot of knowledge about how socialization occurs, how family dynamics affect us, all of the early socialization experiences. This is part of the deep knowledge we teach, the very best of those understandings acquired over the last 200 years in Western philosophy and nearly 200 years in Western psychology, and of course, drawing from other cultural understandings as well. So I very much hope you will join us in one of these courses coming along, and perhaps on this one coming up right very shortly, so you can begin to improve and understand and improve yourself a great deal in your life, and begin then to help others become all that they can be in their lives, taking them on that journey. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Until the next time, this is John Butler from HTI.